the ground rules, but you can take this time and share anything you'd like with the association. Frank, I'll hand it over to you.
All right, sure. Well, Tim, thank you for the opportunity tonight. And Elena, I appreciate you reaching out to me. And it's so nice to see so many familiar faces on the call here tonight. And for those of you that don't know me, my name's Frank Fannon. I'm a lifelong Alexandrian. I've lived in different neighborhoods in the city over the 30 plus years I've been out of college. I lived for 10 years in Rosemont. I lived 13 years in Old Town. And then our family, we live up right now in Clover College Park over behind Bishop Ireton. So, I'm not new to the city. I'm not new to Alexandria politics and Alexandria City Council. For those of you who might remember, I did serve on the city council 16 years ago between 2009 and 2012. Right here in Alexandria. It was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. I served for 3.5 years, and there was so much joy and community involvement and help that I unfortunately I didn't win in a 2012 election, and I really wasn't even planning on getting on back into politics or into the city council because I really don't look at it as politics. I look at it as more as community service. But this opportunity came up, and I was a mortgage banker for 30 years. I've been financing homes in Delray since I can remember, doing single family homes on Hume Avenue that were selling for $150,000 in 1994. So, as many of you know, our world has changed quite a bit with the way the real estate is appreciated here in Alexandria, and some of the homeownership challenges that it's brought on to many people. There's good and there's bad news about that. If you bought a property a while ago, you do have good equity. We do have higher taxes now in the city of Alexandria, and many times through the years, I would talk to people and they would say, Mr. Fannon, I love living in Alexandria, but the taxes are really hurting me, and I have to sell my home. And we never want to lose people from our community because of things like that. And then for the younger generation, we need to have them to be able to get into properties. And there's a lot of good opportunities that people can get with 3% down loan programs, properties, and special interest free loans through the city of Alexandria. But the reason, I want to I would like to serve again on the city council is I really have the local knowledge and I have good business acumen. And I think it would be a great addition to the city council. I know all the city council members. If elected, I would be the most senior person, not in political city council experience, but in age, because I've lived here, as I mentioned, ever since I got out of college. And some of the concerns that I have about the city, and this is, talking to people all over the community, is our city has grown tremendously. We're only 1/4% of the land in Greater Washington. We're 2.5% of the population. But as you know, the city is pretty much built out. And before we continue to bring more people into our city, which we want to do, but we need to do it in a managed growth prospect, because um, back in 2009, there were approximately 11,000 students in the schools, and now there's about 16,000 students in the schools. 18% of the people that live in the city of Alexandria are under age 18. And if the city continues to grow, we just really need to be concerned about our infrastructure and where we're going to put more schools. But there was a great idea what they did out in the West End. They put the commercial building, the Frederick Day School out there, but that might be something we're going to have to do in the future to accommodate the growth that we have here in the city. But the one thing I would like to bring back to the council is to remind everybody that locals government's job is to serve the people that live here and to answer to our citizens here in the community. Sometimes, a lot of times, outside influences bring ideas and issues into Alexandria that the citizens don't ask for, and sometimes those ideas are pressured into our community when there really hasn't been an ask to do that. So that's one of the things that I look forward to working with my new city council colleagues, and just being a voice there to work with them, but also bring some other ideas and from different areas of the community and from my business background that we can continue to have a great city, because my family's been invested here 4 generations, and we plan to be here here for many more generations. So we care deeply about the community. And my actually down in Delray, my uncle Jim and Aunt Mary Ellis, they bought a boarded up building in 1982 on Mount Vernon Avenue and started Fannon Printing. So they've been very instrumental in the whole Delray community, and Delray is a wonderful area. And from a real estate perspective, it's one of the best communities to live and most desirable in Greater Washington. So with that, I'll wrap it up, and I just want to thank all of you for having me here. And please go to frankfannon.org for further information. And I look forward to serving you after April 21st. So have a great evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. All right. Next, we'll have Allison. Allison, thanks for joining. I'll give it over to you.
Thank you so much, Tim. I really appreciate you having me on tonight. It's very nice to meet all of you. I'm a community organizer in the city. I've been working on Palestinian human rights and migrant justice issues for over 3 years, and I've lived here for about a decade now and worked in the city about 8 years. I also visited here every summer because this is where my mother's family is from. So growing up, we were at different overseas postings, and then we come back to Alexandria as our home base. I've served on the city's commission for persons with disabilities, and I've served on the Affordable Housing Commission. And I'm running because I care deeply about the city. I've become very invested in these community groups and these organizations, and I feel like I'm not seeing the voices of the people I talk to every day represented on council and represented in this race. So I want to bring some of the issues that I really care about to the forefront. One of those is deeply affordable housing. I think that we all would like to stay in this city, right? And for many folks who are renters, that's becoming rapidly more and more impossible. We need housing and rental assistance for people, especially people at the margins of our city, for working class people. We need protections for renters, especially when their landlords don't do routine repairs that they are legally required to do. It would be wonderful if we could revive our city's COVID era eviction fund that helped so many people. And having seen it at the sort of the tail end of its existence, right, as those funds were dying out, it was so sad to see how people who desperately needed that help could no longer access it. And I think it's also very important that we bring more housing into the city that's at 30 or 40% of the area median income, instead of right now where we're seeing sort of that 60 to 80% range when we push on projects. Another issue that I care deeply about is ethical investment. We need to get our city investments to align with the values that I know Alexandrians have. I think I'm pondering this a lot right now as we are in an escalating war with Iran, right? And we are seeing American companies that the city invests in, be part of that. American weapons destroy schools and kill hundreds of children. Right now, our city investments are just invested sort of economically, I suppose, in a variety of companies, and many of those companies are complicit in ecocide and genocide in Palestine, in the war in Iran, in the kidnapping of our neighbors and the illegal detention of them by ICE here in the United States. And there's been a long-term community effort to bring our city's funds into a more ethical alignment, to set a standard for how we vet our investments. And there are a lot of really productive ways to do that. Existing ethical investment portfolios that rule out weapons manufacturers or fossil fuel companies. So I would really like to push that issue. And if I were on council, that would be a priority for me. And I think something that's on all of our minds, well, most anyway, is getting ICE out of the city. Sheriff Casey has not moved on his decision to deport and detain many of our neighbors and give them over to ICE custody. He's been asked to stop by the city council. He's been asked to stop extensively by Alexandria residents. There are existing community demands to try to make him stop. One of them is to cut his budget. The incoming council member wouldn't have the ability to participate in that budget, but I strongly support that effort. Another is the long-term community ask that he attend a hearing and be accountable to the public, explain why there's this misalignment between what Arlington and Fairfax are doing, where they are not transferring people to ICE on administrative warrants, and why Alexandria is continuing to do that despite community outcry. Another way we can remove ICE from our city is to get rid of automatic license plate readers, which are transmitting community members' information, not just migrants, all of our information, into law enforcement custody, which goes then over to ICE, and they use that data to track people. Right now, it's people of interest to ICE, but it's also probably going to be other people who are not in alignment with our federal government. I am really excited to talk about these issues with the community because I think we have this desire to get ICE out of the city, but some of the hard things that we would have to do, where we have to push our sitting sheriff, where we have to push the law enforcement that we might like and get along with, is tricky and maybe scary. So I think it's important that we have those discussions together and we make bold choices because we're not going to be able to fight this fascist government if we don't. Thank you so much for including me tonight. It was really a pleasure to meet all of you. My information is up on AVO4, like the number 4, ALX.com, and I will pop that in the chat as requested.
Thank you, Allison. And Frank, I see you're still on, but not on video anymore. That's fine. If you're welcome to put your information in the chat as well for your website or anywhere you would like to direct people to get more information. All right. Now we'll head over to Sandy. Welcome back, Sandy.
Hi, Tim. Given last time I wrote something down, so I wouldn't go over.
No worries.
I'm Sandy Marks. I am now your Democratic nominee for Alexandria City Council. I'm really happy to be here at my own neighborhood association and very proud of its status as an exception to the rule. Although I am back again to remind you of some of the key elements of my candidacy, I hope you don't mind if I share the screen with this beauty, the DRCA Vegetarian Chili Trophy. So I'm just going to keep this right here. I'm running to fill the seat vacated by Kirk McPike, who leaves a portfolio of work behind that we recently, and I think pretty enthusiastically, voted for. And I intend to take on those issues and see them through to the end of the term in 2027. Those issues are climate, reproductive freedom and reproductive justice, climate justice, and housing affordability. I am the only public school parent candidate. I've been in ACPS for 10 years. I'll be in the school system for another 5. And therefore, I am really very invested in our public schools and public school as a concept, as a critical community value. As a parent whose life and whose children's lives are deeply affected by the quality of its education every day, I am endorsed by several school members in the East, in the West, and in the Central school districts. And I intend and am committed to working to bridge the gap between the two elected bodies. Housing affordability, that's the biggest issue in my life right now. And that is true for many Alexandrians. I'm interested in transit-connected housing, which would have been life-changing for my mom and me. I'm interested in adding housing stock at all price points, deeply affordable on up, and getting our entire city on board to take responsibility for welcoming new neighbors rather than just a few neighborhoods near Metro or in historically disadvantaged neighborhoods. I still argue that our city provides equitable programming and funding, and a lot of it. And what we've got to do is improve access to those services. We've got to meet people where they are. We should be developing communities both economically and socially with placemaking strategies that give people, outside of Del Rey and Old Town, the same quality of life we are really privileged to experience here. There are other Pats and Gails and Jens and Tims out there ready to lead with the proper support. You all know, you've heard before, that climate is at the very top of my priority list. We've got a great progressive city council that cares a lot about climate and sustainability. And we've had two sure thing votes on climate for the past several years. Both have endorsed me. One is Vice Mayor Sarah Bagley. The other is now Delegate Kirk McPike. So I will be a second sure thing vote on this issue. Finally, I'm here to protect democracy. Many of you know me as a 2-term chair of the local Democratic Party, which I'm very proud of. And many of you were not at all surprised to see me leading Alexandria's 2 landmark No King's Day demonstrations, given that many of you who I see here, I see your names here, met when I founded the original Indivisible Del Rey with Jen Walker back in 2017. I am absolutely committed to the movement for Black lives and for protecting immigrant neighbors and LGBTQ kids from abuse by our federal government, and have a long list of receipts over a decade long which many of you know about because you've been right there with me. I don't have much more to add than that. I know you have a long meeting ahead, and therefore I will just thank you for inviting me back, and I yield the rest of my time to the vegetarian chili trophy.